Dark Shadows, number 113, VTR 112566, air 113066, take one.
My name is Victoria Winters. Collinwood is still living up to its name as a ghost-ridden house where deaths have gone unsolved. Except that in this case, the murderer is known. Only his whereabouts are unknown. But much like a wounded animal at bay, he has taken refuge in the one place where he thinks he'll be safe. The old house has already been searched thoroughly, so Matthew Morgan feels this is one place the police will not look again.
Who is it?
Mrs. Johnson, I have to talk to you.
Come in. What is it?
Well, I have some news that couldn't wait. They've discovered who was trying to kill Vicky Winters.
Roger Collins.
No. And what's more, Roger Collins did not kill Mr. Malloy.
What are you talking about? He's got to be the one.
No, he isn't. You were wrong and I was wrong. The man who did the actual killing was Matthew Morgan.
Matthew? I don't believe it. What possible reason could he have?
Well, he thought that Mr. Malloy was hounding Mrs. Stoddard, and that was reason enough for him. He had to protect the sacred name of Collins.
I suppose that's still what he's doing. Did he actually make a confession?
Well, not to the sheriff he didn't, but he did to Vicky Winters, and he as much as did to Mrs. Stoddard.
Where's he now?
Oh, he could be in Canada by now. He turned and ran as soon as Mrs. Stoddard confronted him.
I can't believe it. I was so positive that it was Roger. As positive as I am that he is guilty of that manslaughter charge they tried to hang on me.
Could you have been wrong about that?
No. I was not driving that car.
Well, they said at the time that you were drunk.
Yeah, sure, I was drunk. And everything about that night is hazy. But... well...
You didn't run away from something that you knew you'd done. You see...
Drunk or sober, I would never run away from anything, and you must believe that, Mrs. Johnson.
I know. It's Roger Collins. He'd run away from anything. He's run away from every one of his responsibilities, usually to hide behind his sister's skirts.
Look, Mrs. Johnson, I know that you took that job up at Collinwood to find out who killed Mr. Malloy. But now we know who killed him. Matthew. And sooner or later, the police are going to find him. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to stay up at Collinwood.
Well, I'll tell you, I have no intention of leaving up there.
I take it then you're not satisfied with the solution of Mr. Malloy's death.
No, it doesn't change a single thing. You see, I still think that Roger Collins is really responsible, because none of this would have happened if he'd owned up to that manslaughter charge 10 years ago.
And I wouldn't have served 5 years in prison either. That's what brought me back to Collinsport in the first place. I came back to see that Roger Collins and his whole precious family paid for those 5 years I served. And someday, somehow, Roger's going to let something slip, and you're going to be there to hear it.
Oh, I hope so. Well, I'd better be getting back before they miss me.
Well, thank you for telling me all this. It's too bad you couldn't tell me what I really wanted to hear.
That it was Roger Collins.
Yes. Well, to what do I owe the honor?
Can I come in?
Sure, you're welcome here anytime, Davy. Let me take your coat. How would you like one of those Burke Devlin specials, huh?
Sure.
Hey, come on in the kitchen. I suppose you're glad to hear about the good news about your father.
It isn't good news.
Why? He's free, isn't he?
That's just it. I hoped he'd be arrested and put in jail forever.
I have to admit, that idea appeals to me, but he is your father, Davy.
I don't care. I hate him.
Why do you hate him so much, Dave?
Because of the way he used to treat my mother.
Laura? Was he mean to her?
And that's what made her so sick she had to go to a hospital.
I see.
Besides that, I still think he killed Mr. Malloy.
I thought Matthew admitted that he had done it.
Matthew would say anything my Aunt Elizabeth told him to.
That's an interesting theory, Davy. But I don't think it's going to hold water.
But I saw it in my crystal ball, and it never lies.
Well, you know, crystal balls are funny things. They may not lie, but they want to show you the truth in riddles. You have to figure it out to figure out what's actually going on.
I did figure it out. I saw my father bending over Mr. Malloy at Lookout Point. Isn't that where he was killed?
True. Maybe Mr. Malloy was already dead when he got there.
Then why would he be looking at him, bending over?
Maybe he was trying to see if he was still alive.
I didn't think you'd try to protect him.
Well, I have a strong aversion to framing an innocent person.
What does that mean?
Well, it's like I wouldn't like to see you punished for something you didn't do.
Well, just the same, I still think it was my father who did it. Maybe Josette Collins can tell me, or even Mr. Malloy.
Well, they're ghosts, Davy.
They're ghosts to other people, but to me they're real. And they never lie to me either. That's why I'm so worried about Miss Winters.
What about Miss Winters?
One of my friends, one of the ghosts, Josette Collins, said that she had to stay around Collinwood until another girl was killed at Widow's Hill.
Oh, yeah, I seem to remember that old legend. But didn't the girl have to be a member of the Collins family?
How do you know she isn't? She doesn't even know herself.
Well, you sure are full of theories today, Dave.
I guess theories are just guesses, aren't they?
Well, sort of. You might call it a contemplation.
Okay, then my contemplation is that my father killed Mr. Malloy. And Matthew came along and saw him and got scared and ran away.
I wonder.
I have another contemplation, too.
Hmm? What's that?
When I was crossing the street to the hotel, I saw Mrs. Johnson. And my contemplation is that maybe she had been here to see you.
Mrs. Johnson, why should she want to see me?
I haven't figured that part out yet.
Your theories are getting pretty wild now, Davy. And Mrs. Johnson could have, well, been seeing almost anybody around here. Did you actually see her leave the hotel?
No, but she was coming from this direction.
How many other people were coming from this direction?
Lots of them.
That's not a very good contemplation, then, is it?
I guess not. Maybe I think too much.
Is that the way you always hang up your coat?
I didn't hang it up. I just put it there.
Well, you know there's a place for you to hang it.
Okay.
What are you looking at?
You? I saw you before, about an hour ago.
Why, you couldn't have. I was in Collinsport.
That's where I saw you.
Well, I had errands to do.
At the Collinsport Inn?
The Collinsport Inn? What in the world would I be doing there?
I thought maybe you went to see Burke Devlin.
Burke Devlin? Burke Devlin and I have nothing in common.
Yes, you have, and so have I.
What are you talking about?
We all three hate my father.
That's ridiculous.
No, it isn't either. I can tell.
How can you tell? What have you heard?
I haven't heard anything. I didn't have to. I can tell by the look in your eyes when you're watching him.
Watching Mr. Collins? What do I want to be watching Mr. Collins for?
You always are. Whenever you're in the same room with him. When you served him dinner, you looked at him as though you wanted to poison him.
Oh, you're making that up. I'm very grateful for my job here.
But my father didn't hire you. It was Aunt Elizabeth.
Well, no matter who hired me, I work for everyone here at Collinwood.
Even me?
Yes, even you.
All right.
Now, where are you going?
Did you get my coat where I hung it up?
Well, where are you going now? It's almost dinner time.
Well, what I have to do won't take long.
Why, what's so important that you have to go out now?
Well, if I told you, you'd only laugh at me like everyone else.
Who's everyone else?
Well, everyone. Well, except for Burke Devlin. He doesn't laugh at me. Ever.
Well, he's a very perceptive man.
Is that what he told you this afternoon?
I did not see Burke Devlin this afternoon, but you have to remember that I've known him for many, many years.
Do you believe that he was driving that car that ran over somebody?
What I believe and what I don't believe doesn't matter, because, you see, suspicion doesn't count. The police and juries, they want facts.
All right, then I'll tell you where I'm going. I'm going to try to find out some real facts.
From whom?
My friends at the old house.
The old house? Why, there hasn't been anybody living there in years.
I didn't say my friends were alive.
Oh. You're talking about the ghosts.
I said you'd laugh at me.
No, that's not a subject to laugh about. Not by me, anyway. But you see, these friends of yours, these ghosts, they wouldn't appear in a court of law now, would they?
Of course not.
Well, you see who's going to believe you.
Well, maybe my friends can tell me something that can be proved.
I see. All right, you just see you get back by supper time.
I promise. I guess you know why I'm here. You always know everything I'm thinking anyway. All I want to know is something, anything, that can prove my father did all those terrible things. Then where's Matthew? Please, tell me where Matthew is. Maybe he can prove that my father did. Can't you tell me? Can't you even give me some sign?
What are you doing here?
Looking for you.
How'd you know I was here? Who told you?
Nobody. I didn't know.
And what was all that nonsense you were talking to the picture?
It wasn't nonsense. I was asking my friends where I could find you. I didn't know you were here. Nobody else does either.
Don't know whether to believe you or not.
I wouldn't lie to you.
You lied to everybody.
If the sheriff and Aunt Elizabeth know you're here, do you think they'd let me come down here?
How do I know the sheriff isn't coming here right now?
Go look out the window and see. See anything?
No.
I told you I was telling the truth. I want to help you.
Why should you want to help me?
Because I know what happened. And I know it was all my father's fault.
What are you talking about?
My father killed Mr. Malloy.
It's not a nice thing to say about your father.
We work together. We'll find evidence.
Evidence?
All you have to do is stay here until I find it.
Expect me to stay here where I'm not safe?
You're safe in this old house. I'm the only one that ever comes here. Nobody else does.
You serious about wanting to help me?
Sure I am.
I don't know how far I can trust you.
You can trust me.
And give me a chance. Don't say anything about seeing me when you go back to the house. Give me a chance to get away.
But you can't run away. If you do, we won't be able to investigate. We won't find proof against my father. You're safer here than you would be any place else. There are police cars all over, and they'd catch you anyway.
I couldn't stay here long even if I wanted to. I need food.
I can bring you food, and I'll bring you everything you need.
How'd you get it out of the house without being seen?
Well, I'll manage. Just say you'll stay. Trust me, won't you?
I don't know.
You have to trust me. You know you don't have any other choice.
Don't I?
You know you don't. You know you're safe here. Nobody else comes. Don't worry, Matthew. I can take care of you. Nobody will ever find out you're here. Nobody.
trust you.
Follow the adventures of 5 daring youngsters on the Wyoming frontier on the Monroes in color tonight, right after Batman on ABC. Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.